Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster in the World of Marketing, and I got a special guest, my new friend, Carol Moore. Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Hi.
Carol helps people do public speaking and talk to people, really, and be our authentic self. And I just learned this myself, that the fear of public speaking has a name. It's called glossophobia. I had no idea. So I learned something new. Carol, thanks so much for hanging out with me today for a little bit.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Absolutely.
And so the fear of speaking, I've been saying this for years because my kids go to a school where they have a play every year, and every kid has to participate. Kind of makes them get in front of an audience early, because as you well know, that's why you have your business, is that most of us are really scared to speak. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's learned a little bit, because you know children, they have no limitations at all, and they will talk to strangers. And actually, we have to safeguard them against that. Like, no.
Right.
Because they're just like, hi, do you want to see mine? Do you want to talk to me? Do you want to? And as we get older, I think part of what it is we start to think about what other people are thinking of us, how they may perceive us. And the smarter we get, the more we can think through these things, the more we internalize, and then we say, no, thanks. No, thanks. I don't want to deal with the reactions. I don't want to be thinking about all these things together. But I think the key to that is just being who you are, but being true to yourself and being confident and loving who you are. Because when you love who you are, you don't really care.
Being authentic.
That's correct. A little cousin of mine, one Easter, we picked her up for church, and she had on this lovely dress. She was maybe 4 or 5. And I said, oh, what a pretty dress. And she said, I know. And I thought, wait. And I said, no, sweetie, you have to say thank you. But the thing about it was, she didn't care what I thought, because she knew her dress was pretty, and that's all that mattered. I think when we're speaking, it's the same kind of thing. If you are confident in your content, if you are confident in your delivery and all the choices that you have made, because speaking is nothing but a bunch of choices, and you're confident in all of those things, then someone could say that was trash. And you would say, nah, I liked it. I think it was good.
Yeah, it's my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Well, tell me, Carol, how you got started doing this.
Interesting question. So I did not know this was a thing. I didn't know this was a thing people
me neither.
needed or wanted or had a need for, except in my daily life, I was always coaching someone. And so I started really early. My first poem, kindergarten, books, 4 or 5. And I was up and my parents were crying, and I was, excited to recite things. And throughout my life, that's been the kind of person I am. I am a storyteller. I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I'm a performer. And so I don't mind chatting it up with the folks. When I would get into positions in industry and later in government, I would notice that my bosses would be a little anxious about speaking. And I would say, oh, well, all you have to do is remember this, that, and the third. Or they wouldn't know how to put their speeches together. And then I would say, oh, what do you want to say? And then send them a draft. It wasn't until the pandemic, really, that I noticed it was an actual thing. Right before then, I was a speaker coach for TEDx and Tyson's. And so I coached people through their TED Talks. I thought speaker coach was specific to TED. Not so. You put the term out in the world and people say, well, what is that? And I said, I just help you say whatever it is you'd like to say to whomever you want to say it to. And the world is like, yes, please. I thought, oh, okay, cool.
Well, that's how we met, because our own Emmanuel, who is my guy, my right-hand man here, he's the one that introduced us, and he's working with you, right? To
Yes. He came as a client. We met during a networking
Yeah.
Zoom. I gave my pitch. And then within about 2 minutes, ping, I got a little message that said, yes, please.
Right.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, he's on my roster and he does great work. We do great work together. But even directors need a little direction.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, like, and it's 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 not just public speaking that we're talking about here. It's really just communicating, right? I mean, it's really communicating in a professional way, and like we said, as and being authentic to who you are in doing it.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how that works. Like how do you coach how would you coach somebody, to prep them for something?
So it all starts if you come with a basic need or a specific need, rather, we'll go right to that. So if you say, I have an upcoming keynote, I need to get ready
Right.
for, okay. But if you come and say, I just want to be better in general, that's a different kind of path. And so we chat a little bit. I'm all about your feelings. And I got to get in your business like just a little bit, because it's not just coaching your words, it's a lot. We talk about your perception of yourself. Plenty of times I am talking to clients. I say, hi, my name is Carol. 10 minutes later, they are sobbing. And I'm like, okay, great. We just needed to get that out. Okay, cool. So a little childhood trauma. All right. But it really kind of depends. And when we see what's at the root of what's causing your fear or your anxiety, we try and we work on that first. So if it is the perception of others, we talk about a list of your strengths. I give homework. I love homework. And so I tell you, make a list of your strengths or go to someone you trust. If you can't identify your strengths right off, go to your wife. They're always willing to tell you the truth. Okay. Go to your husband, go to your best friend and ask them, what's good about me? What do I have to bring? How do I bring value? Every time people come back with these really exhaustive lists of items that they didn't know that they had inside. And sometimes you can't see it for yourself. So once
That's
we had,
interesting.
please.
No, that's interesting what you said about go ask your friends and your spouse, your family, what's good about me. I never really thought about that before. That's just a great exercise to do in general
Mhm.
to get feedback, and nobody would do that. I'm going to go do that tonight.
Here's the trick about it. Here's the trick, right? When you're talking to yourself, and let's say your fear of speaking is rooted in anxiety. Okay, anxiety is nothing but what? Lies. And so what's
Yeah.
the quickest way to de-arm a lie? The truth. But you can't find that for yourself sometimes because you're caught up in everything else. Well, you go to the people you trust the most. The people, if you were in jail and you got one call, who you calling? Go to them. Because if you believe everything else they say, you gotta believe what they say about you.
Yeah. It's true. And because we're in our own ego, we're in our own heads all the time. We're
Mhm.
telling our, like what you were just saying, the anxiety is caused by all that stuff in the ego. So when you get somebody else telling you the truth, and a lot of that truth is going to be good, that'll make you feel better, give you more confidence, right? And that's how you get pumped up to
Every
go
time.
make your big speech or
Every
ask for your
time.
raise or
Mhm. And you
so,
keep that with you. The reason I give the homework of acquiring these attributes is because I want them on hand. So
right.
that, like you said, right before you go in, read those things to yourself. They essentially become affirmations if you need that. I also recommend playlists. Music is powerful. You know that. I
Yeah.
see the instruments, you know that.
Yes.
And so we have these habit loops in our brain that are already formed. You know, you could be in a grocery store shopping and then you hear a song and you go, oh man, you're back to the summer of 78, right? And those good times. If you take the time to assemble these and you have a playlist that's soothing, a playlist that'll pump you up. Eye of the Tiger, all that, right? You have a
Right.
playlist that's just of happiness. Then right before your speeches, maybe the night before, you need the soothing playlist. Just listen to these songs and let your brain do its own thing, what it's already meant to do, what it's already created to do, which when we hear that song, I equate that to relaxation. When you need to relax, play the song. If I hear this song and it makes me think of conquering the world, when it's time to conquer that speech, play the song. And so you're working smarter not harder. Your brain has already formed these patterns, lean into them. And that will help you. These are tools in your pocket that you can just kind of pull out during these times, because we're doing all we can to combat this kind of anxiety. So I do that hippy dippy kind of coaching a little bit. And then we get into diction, we get into word choice, speed, tone, nonverbal communication. Oh my goodness. All this,
Right.
this, what you do, your verbal clutter, likes. I just said about 3 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Awareness that you know this is happening, all that type of stuff.
That's great. Now, most of the people that are listening here are probably lawyers, because that's our who listens to the World of Mark, I think, out there, guys. Yeah. But so lawyers obviously need to speak in public to juries and judges, and what kind of advice would you give lawyers on this, and how can you help these people?
Authenticity is key, because of course your credibility needs to be established right away.
Right.
But you kind of have to do a bunch of different things as a lawyer. You gotta prove your point, and you gotta keep people interested as well. But you have to be real. If you're performing and someone can sniff that out, and all of a sudden your credibility is called into play, right? So I think it really depends on you figuring out who you are, not who you think you should be.
That's a great point. Go ahead.
They're very
Sorry.
different.
Yeah.
They're very different. And sometimes we've spent so much time doing what we think a lawyer should do, saying what we think a lawyer should say, versus me as a lawyer. What does that look like? So Carol, as a lawyer, I'm going to crack a joke or two probably every single time, or try and keep it light. Also, playing with pacing. I think pacing is very, very useful in opening and closing arguments. Pacing. When do you take a beat? When do you let it rest? When do you have variance in your sentence structures so that one point hits better than another? Also, my largest, please.
That's what pacing is? That's what you were just doing. So everybody, that's what she was just doing. That's how you pace to make a very important point.
Yes. Now, if you wanted to invoke this sense of urgency, if you wanted to invoke this sense of panic and of heat and all these things, and this panic that's happening with this group of people, then of course your pace is faster. But when you want something to land and you want to rest and you want them to know, you slow down. Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of the lawyers that I work with also, obviously they go do jury trials and they stand in front of juries and speak. But then when they get on stage and speak, it's a whole different story. When you get up on stage and the lights are on you, I mean, I do a lot of, well, not since COVID, but prior to, and I'm sure after, but getting on a stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of people is very unnerving. It's, and what I do I just turn that nervous energy, because there's nothing you can do about it, right? It's there, and it's all the anticipation and it's all that, and then you get up there and the lights are on you, and I always find that and plus playing music, playing with my band, the lights are on you, and I always start like fast, like I feel like I'm just like out of the gate, and I have to always calm myself down. And I'm wondering if that's some advice that you give people about, because I have to like tell myself, you need to dial it back. You know what I mean? You have to put it in slow-mo to be normal, really.
Well, right. I think it's because everyone's problems are so like unique to them. There are some people who have a hard time coming out the gate, and they freeze. And right? We get one of those situations going on. I think it's all about, and you mentioned it, preparation is key. Preparation is key. Putting together your parachutes, your backup plans, knowing how to do that. I think we're looking for progress, not perfection. You should not seek to be perfect. You just need a plan. You just need a plan. If you get in the middle of a sentence and you forget something, what are you going to say? Oh, geez, forgot where I was going there. Anyway, boom, that's a mitigation plan. That's a fumble tactic. I use football analogies. Though I don't like the sport very much, it comes in handy.
It does.
It comes in handy. But it's not about the fumble, it's about the recovery. It's
Right.
about recovery. So yes, we would love to never fumble. Okay, but how realistic is that? Not very. So have these recovery mechanisms in your pocket so that when it does happen, you're kind of cool. But preparation, yes, is it. For me, it's so funny. You said you come out super hot. When I get on stage, which by the way, I'm nervous every time.
Sure.
Been doing this forever.
Even you, right? Even you, right?
Yes.
Everybody's nervous. So
nerves keep you humble. So I don't mind it. And I think, like you said perfectly, the energy's not going anywhere. So put it to use. If you're gonna be nervous, how do you channel that? For me,
exactly. Yeah.
I have to see people see me. So I'll go on a stage and I'll stand there for a moment and I'll look around. Because once I notice that you see me, I've got two options. I run like a baby crying, or I push through.
Right, right.
So it certainly depends on the person when you have to get on these big stages, but it's two different speeds in the courtroom and on the stage. That's why not doing what you should do, but knowing how you function is really important. How do I function here? How do I function there? How do I set my clients at ease when it's just the two of us? What tactics can I use there to make people trust me and to let them know I'm going to advocate for them? I do role play in coaching as well. I record our sessions so that people can go back and study, but we prep for that too. Lawyers in interviews, completely different than all of the other three. When you're being interviewed for something, how does that go? Who's your audience? Because they may not understand all that legalese.
Right.
Maybe we need to differ our word choice, be a little more animated, use our hands, use our face a little, use our tone. It's a lot. I'm telling you, it's so many options. Speaking, communicating, it's nothing but just this long stream of perpetual choices that you just have to make all the time.
Another trick that I do is I'll find people in the audience that I will kind of have the conversation with.
Yep.
Instead of like, oh my gosh, there's 1,000 people I'm trying to talk to, and I will call them out or basically have a conversation. Hey, Dave, you know what I'm talking about, Dave, or whatever. I try to find a friend. If you got a friend in the audience, like have a conversation. Is that good? Is that a good thing to do?
Yes. And even if you don't have a friend, make a friend.
Right. Exactly.
You can see them with the the listening faces.
And they're nodding. That's the best.
Find those people.
Right. The ones that are like nodding off and going to sleep, that's not good.
Don't look at those.
That's when you got to stomp around and clap your hands or something.
Something, yes. Or, too, that's a wonderful tactic. And let's say you can't see people. That's another trick that I love to use. Just not being able to see faces. I wear glasses, but when I perform, I do not. So that they just look like blurs. And I was like,
right. Oh, that's another good one.
That's nice. But you can pretend, because the people don't know that you can't see them. So for instance, when I was in the government, I was working this Bring Your Child to Work Day event. I was the MC and I had coordinated it and everything. And so there's this big auditorium full of parents and hyper children, right? And they're just doing whatever. Okay. So after the event's over, I go to the restroom and I'm washing my hands, and out of the stall comes a mom and her daughter. And her daughter says, oh, I saw you on the stage. And I said, hey, I saw you too. Weren't you sitting in the chair? Now, everyone was in a chair.
Right.
But the baby was like, yeah. And her mom says, yeah, we were by the wall. ma'am, I did not see, I have no clue who you are.
Right, right.
But when you pretend like you can see people, then that makes them feel connected too. So let's say you can't see them, but you just point somewhere and say, am I right? Yeah, you get it. They don't know that you're 16 people could think you're talking to them just in that general direction. But all of a sudden you've won 16 people over.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some other tips for, how about like prepping for a raise, like asking for a raise? Like, what are some, you know what I mean? Like, those are some things that people like, oh my God, or you know, having that meeting with your boss. How do you help people with that? Like, what are some anxiety relieving techniques or whatever? Like, help us with that, Carol.
Having a plan for small talk. So when I say know your audience, I mean, even if it's just one person, think about something really detailed about your boss. Is it the son's soccer game this past weekend? Is it that they finally got to see their mom after being vaccinated? What is it? And then bring that up sincerely at the beginning.
Mhm.
Hey, Tom, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, have you guys put together a plan for getting the band back together? I know things are opening up outside. I know outdoor venues are looking for places. You guys thinking about that? And then once you ask the question, this is important. Listen, listen to the answer. Listen to the answer, and then ask a poignant follow-up question. The whole process should take maybe 2 minutes, but it shows that you're coming, because those are things that leaders do. So if you're coming to say you want more responsibility and that you're ready to be a leader, will function from a place of a leader. And leaders take their time to do that all the time. I'm sure you know very specific things about your staff. Yeah, because that shows engagement, that shows intentionality, um, that shows care for your people. And even though this person has the ability to promote you, you still need to lead from where you are. And that's just what shows people, not tells them, shows them you're ready to lead. So small talk is very important. And then when you come in with it, that's how you naturally would round out that conversation. Well, I hope you get to see your mom again soon. Well, Tom, all right, well, let me know when you guys finally do book a gig. I'd love to bring my daughter out. Mm-hmm. And then the conversation's over. That's one. Two, going in, if you go in with a problem, have a solution ready to propose. If you are going in looking for a promotion, have a problem that you have identified that no one else has identified, and then the solution that you're ready to propose, one that of course possibly only you can enact and fill, because then they'll see the value. And then two, don't ask. Have it be a question. Yeah. Say, I was thinking about it and I'm ready. I'm ready to help you guys out. It's not what you can do for me, it's how I can help you guys. And I can help you.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, switch it around so you're not asking, you're making yourself available for it.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And then yes,
those are great tips, and just in terms of leading with, knowing something about whoever you're talking to. I totally agree with that you don't want to just kind of rush into it with, that's a very selfish way of like, I got to say what I got to say. It's great, to, yeah, small talk and authentic, making sure that it's authentic.
exactly. Because when we think small talk, hey, how was your weekend?
Right.
That's Monday, right? And then Friday is, hey, what you doing this weekend?
Right.
Okay, how many times have we asked and answered these questions? But and then now it's, how you feeling about the vaccine? Okay, that's a little more specific, though it is a global situation happening. But if you say, I was thinking the other day, I heard that there's going to be a Bee Gees reunion, and I thought, how are they going to do that? But I thought that's something you might be interested in because you strike me as a Bee Gees kind of guy. What do you think about that? And then shut up. Say it and shut up. let them talk. Let them talk. Listen to what it is that they have to say. Because, like you said, when you rush in as a selfish thing, people are not going to just be rushing to give you what you want. But if you show them what you're proposing actually suits their needs, well, that support is supported by the small talk, because you just showed that you cared about them. You just showed that you cared to listen about something else. And so when you come in with this proposal of another way in which you want to make things better, that's not going to be alarming. It's going to be like, oh, right, that's the type of person you are. Because you just established that in that moment.
So what I was going to ask you, what happens when the conversation is not going your way? Um, you know what I mean? Like, what happens when things are going south and not going? How do you? What kind of advice do you have when it? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, when you say not going your way, do you mean, let's say it's becoming full of tension,
yes,
or okay.
yeah, like you've asked for the raise, or you've offered yourself, for the promotion. I'm ready to, and it's not going well. Like, what do you? Any kind of advice to kind of turn it around into a different direction? I know that's kind of a hardball question, but I'm just curious.
Well, I would say in all things, play chess, not checkers. So this is just one conversation. So hear what they have to say. If they're saying, no, that's not a thing we're doing, get them to say why and take good notes. So then the next time you go back, you're going to go back with what? Mitigation plans for those whys.
Right.
Mhm. So as long as people are talking, they're giving you information. And not only listen, watch them. Watch what their hands are doing. All nonverbal communication can tell you a lot of stuff. Sometimes you can see if they don't have the budget for it, but they don't want to tell you that by what they're saying. Sometimes you can see if they really want to and it's in the works, but they can't tell you yet. You can see all of that stuff. Observe, say what you have to say, and then soak it all in. I can't express the importance of active listening. Communication, 50% of that is listening, because it's how you base your rebuttal. It's how you base what you're going to come back with, and your communication, the words you're going to it goes back to the choices. All of your choices are built upon what you done heard and saw. So listen, see, take plenty of notes. Tell them that you understand if things are getting tense. Balance it out. Be gentle, be calm, be understanding. Do not be do not flow along the same track, because a soft answer turns away wrath. So you just got to just keep it soft. Oh, I understand. That's not how I would have seen that, but I hear you. I respect that. Thank you so much for sharing. This is helpful. This is helpful. Thank you so much. When people start yelling at you, they won't continue to yell or put this bass in their voice when you thank them for doing it. Come on. Nah.
Right.
They're ready to be met with contention. So meet them with a give and then see what happens.
Very good. That's fantastic advice. And you know what? You've said it multiple times. And here we are talking about how to speak better, but you've said it, really the most important thing is listening, because what we're really talking about is communication. And you're right. In order to be able, if you are trying to, if we are trying to convince somebody into something, or get them to see our way, or get them to buy something from us, or if you're a lawyer trying to convince a jury, that your client is innocent or whatever, um, then you need to listen. Obviously, you're not going to listen to a jury, but you need to listen to, you can, and you can listen without verbal, you can listen by their expressions. And that tells you,
Their
right,
body language.
right, body language, if you're going in the right direction.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a good, like, not everybody sees the video, but Carol made some great gestures of and it's true. And I watch when I'm speaking, when I'm doing public speaking, I watch everybody, because if people are nodding off or on, getting on their phones or whatever, I know that I'm getting boring, and
Yeah.
I need to do something. And that's, me listening, even though I'm speaking, but I'm listening and watching what's going on. But it's true. And it's funny because my partner, Buster, just told me yesterday that I got to be a better listener. He was like, you always talk over people. And I'm like, I'm getting better. So that's just so funny. Well, Carol, thank you very much for coming on the World of Marketing and spending time with me.
Yes. Thank you.
And I know that we'll be talking again. And like we said, I know that you're working with Emmanuel, and he tells me all of the good stuff that you guys are doing. So how does somebody get in touch with you and perhaps get some consultation if they're working on a speech or interview or public speaking or whatever? How does somebody do that?
Yes, absolutely. They can contact me at carolmorepresents.com. They can also visit the website, carolmorepresents.com. I do help with all of those things that you talked about, interview prep to keynote, speeches, ghostwriting. Last night, I spent a session with a cardiologist picking out her persona and basically her wardrobe for her new job. So we talked about, that's a bit of executive coaching. We talked about
Wow,
how she's going to approach her new management position. What look does she want to have? What adjectives and attributes? We've also prepped this particular cardiologist for panels. We've prepped her to be a moderator. We're prepping for her keynote. I'm writing a couple articles for her. So she's one of my consistent clients. But yes, all of that, anything that you want to say, any way that you want to be, I can help.
very good. Well, Carol, thank you so much. And you have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a great weekend, and you take care. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, sir.